Hello there everyone, welcome to Dragon Tail Tarot. My name is Ariel and this is your astrology forecast for December 2021. This is going to get into our basic planetary events, transits, and signs that will be coming up, some of the big highlights of the month of December, to give you an overall forecast for the energetic patterns and potential outcomes that we will be facing for this month of December. I hope you guys are doing great out there. It is always wonderful to welcome you to the channel. And if you are new here or have not yet done so, please do reach out, hit that subscribe button, and join the Dragon family. So let's go ahead and start, guys. I'm going to be working with our chart today for this month of December. I hope that you can see this decently. Sometimes my camera goes a little in and out of focus, so hopefully this will not be too difficult for you to see and follow along with me. As we open this month of December, I would absolutely say that the biggest thing that I notice, and the bulk of our aspects, which are our lines, you know, our connections, the relationships between our planets, most of these are sextiles. And let me tell you what a sextile does and how it feels. A sextile is a pattern of energy between two or more planets that creates doors of opportunity opening. Now a trine, as you would see right here, this is a trine that shows that, you know, green triangle. That is a different aspect, which is also very positive. The trine is the easiest, freest flowing energy that we experience between planets. And it is very much like somebody coming in and giving you a gift. You didn't have to do anything to receive it. It came in very easily, very freely, and it just feels good. It's like, oh, somebody gave me something really nice. And that's how the trine plays out. But the sextile is a little different. The sextile is not so much the energy of someone giving you a gift. It is a gift that comes in the form of an opportunity. It is more like somebody playing catch with you. They throw the ball and you have to make a little bit of effort to reach up and grab it, right? It doesn't just fall right in your lap automatically. It is on the way to you, but the best way to make use of that sextile pattern is to be ready, available, and open and interactive into seizing the opportunities that come to you. So as we open this month of December, we have a lot of sextile transits and patterns going on. And so that is what I feel, I would say, sets the tone for our month of December. Is a month of opportunity, of doors opening, of energetic patterns, positive gifts, positive experiences coming your way. But the best way to make use of that is, of course, to be ready to jump when those moments come, because the way the sextile works is that if you're open to receive those opportunities, you will usually get a lot of blessing from them, good outcomes from them. If you don't make an effort to interact and grab those opportunities, nothing bad is going to happen to you, nothing negative. It just will pass you by until the next season of opportunities comes your way. So let's take another look here, guys. Let's look at what's going on with those sextile transits. The biggest ones that I'm really looking at here are going to be, you know, the sun, of course. Happy birthday to all my Sagittarius folks. The sun is in your sign. It is in your season. And look at that. We open the month with 9 degrees of the Sagittarius sun in a sextile pattern to Saturn at 9 degrees of Aquarius. So I feel this is very deep, very intense, because Saturn, of course, is the planet that rules Capricorn. It rules responsibilities, it rules limitations, inhibitions, hard work that brings good outcomes, and of course responsibilities, foundations, how we ground and center ourselves, and of course the way that we, you know, get rid of anything that is not effective, efficient, and for our best good. So when you think about the sun, which is our basic life force, our basic identity, and our ego, coming into a positive, you know, aspect of opportunities with the planet of time, of karma, of, you know, what goes around comes around, what you put in is what you get back. I feel that a lot of lessons are coming full circle. It is a perfect time to reach for those opportunities of what the hard lessons are teaching us and the good outcomes that have come from us being dedicated, committed, and focused on those positive outcomes for ourselves. This is a time of patience versus a time of openness, right? Because Sagittarius energy, of course, is very open. It's very expansive. It rules expansion, whereas Saturn deals with limitations, patience, caution, being careful one day at a time. So in some ways, we may want to move forward very quickly, but the best way to use those opportunities of energy is to really say, you know what? Even though I want to jump, I don't mind being patient. I don't mind taking my time, because Saturn likes it when we work with it. It really does. When we work with Saturn, it benefits us. When we push against it or resist the lessons coming through, it tends to give us more challenge, because like, whoa, you didn't learn that lesson yet. We're going to give you a little bit more. So the best way to work with this is to stay very open to the timing of things, right? Even if you want to be very open, expansive, and travel and jump and move, remember Saturn is working with this. And when you work with those energies together, things start to move faster than they would have if you really resisted the time it takes to get there. So definitely do the right thing, put out the right intentions, because Saturn is very karmic. What we do, the good we do comes back to us. The bad we do comes back to us under that influence, and we're definitely learning those lessons. And I would say people that have been really putting in the time, putting in the effort, doing things, that they know are the right thing to do, even if they're not the easy thing to do, are going to get the most benefit from this. The next sextile pattern that we really, and of course, Mercury is in the combination as well. I didn't point that out, that Saturn is also in a sextile to Mercury, because Mercury opens our month in the sign of Sagittarius as well. It will be moving, of course, up into another sign, as we go into the rest of the month. It will be moving on Monday the 13th. Both Mars and Mercury will be shifting. But as we open the month of December, it certainly is an aspect. So I would say that the things that you think about, the things that you communicate and say to other people have big ramifications, right? Again, the good intentions that you put out, the positive affirmations and communication you put out comes back to you. If you're very negative, if you're nasty to people, or if you engage in nastiness when they are mean to you, right? If they're rude to you, that just, perpetuates this pattern. But if you rise above that and choose to be your best self, that is going to benefit you greatly, because Mercury is communication, Saturn is our karma and our timing, patience, limitations, caution. So I would say, yes, be careful with what you say and how you say it, because it has the potential to open up doors of opportunities either way. The next thing I'm going to be looking at right here as we open our month, we have this very intense conjunction. That is when 2 or more planets are 10 degrees or less apart. That's called a conjunction. And Venus, our planet of love, romance, and relationships and social values, is in the sign of conservative, practical Capricorn. So I love this energy because it really does help us to ground and center our relationships. It helps us to be more efficient in those, and it definitely assists us in releasing toxic or negative relationships that don't work for or benefit us. And that can happen in romance, it can happen in co-workers, it can happen in business, absolutely, because Capricorn does rule big business and work. Having it be right next to Pluto as we open the month is also very powerful. Pluto is a powerful planet, small but powerful. It is the ruler of Scorpio. It deals with destruction, transformation, and regenerations. And so I believe relationships of all kinds are experiencing a very powerful cycle. They are really going through a time of, maybe big breakdowns. Some relationships will come apart and stay apart. Some of them will come apart and then transform, regenerate, and come back together. But either way, Pluto and Scorpio energy deal with strong psychological transformations, deep emotional rebirths. This doesn't skirt the surface. This goes deep to the heart of the matter. And I feel like whatever relationships you are in, you are asking the question, Will this stand the test of time? The Capricorn test, right? The Capricorn test. Will it last? Is it stable? Can it weather the storms of life? And there may be some circumstances that come up that put that to the test and give you those answers very, very strongly. So keep that in mind. Our relationships are a bit intense. And for those of you that are single and looking for romance, looking for romantic connection, you're not going to be wanting to go shallow. Oh my goodness, no. People looking for love right now are very serious about those connections. And in general, it sets the tone for the long term, not the short term. This doesn't work for people who are players or just playing the field. This does not work for people who are just looking for a fun little hookup or a little connection here and there. This is the energy of life partners, marriage, commitments, contracts, and foundations. So, you know, that energy is certainly with us. No matter what we are looking at, whatever kind of relationships we're in. And of course, talking about those sextile transits, what's it in the sextile when we go into the beginning of the month? It is in a sextile to what? Mars in the sign of Scorpio. So we are dealing with Scorpio energy here from its ruling planet Pluto connecting up with Venus, and we're also dealing with that energy from Mars, the historical ruler of Scorpio, being in its own, one of its own signs, you know, one of its own dignitary signs, you know, Mars either in Scorpio or Aries, right? And so that brings again a very strong connection. It brings in the masculine and feminine energies, those divine energies coming into play. Again, there are great potentials, great doors of opportunity opening in our personal relationships. So guys, be very aware, be very aware that we are playing with some of the most powerful, intense, and I would say as well, heavy, you know, heavy signs. I would say Scorpio and Capricorn are the heaviest signs of the zodiac in many ways. You know, they are very intense, they're very deep, and they really want things to last the long haul. But they are also, of course, when it comes to Scorpio, very transformational, very healing. And of course, we cannot have a period of regeneration and healing without having gone through the destruction, sometimes the illness or disease, you know, that needs to be broken down and destroyed. So you may be caught in any particular part of that cycle. Some of you may be in the destruction cycle where things are really coming apart. Some of you may be in that healing cycle, and some of us may be in the regeneration cycle. Take it as it resonates to your particular situation, but it absolutely is that cycle of death, rebirth, phoenix from the ashes when it comes to those personal relationships, and the way that we express our forward energy and movement, which is very much what Mars is about, and our social expression, you know, how we like to function, how we like to be out in the world with others, which is coming from Venus. So could be very dynamic, could be very healing. There could be some big blow-ups in relationships that lead to greater understanding. The biggest thing that we need to know with this is that any kind of breakdowns or destructive things that happen were meant to happen for a reason, and it's going to reveal things, because Scorpio energy is about secrets. It is about mysteries, things that are hidden from sight. And many times when we come into this sort of energy, it starts revealing so much about our inner selves and the other person's inner self as well. Another pattern of sextile energy that's going on as well as we open up this month is, of course, from Venus, Pluto, connecting to Neptune. So here again, another door of opportunity. Neptune is a ruler of Pisces. It is in the sign of Pisces at 20 degrees. And so it is opening up our month with a perfect sextile to Venus, right? Venus, of course, will move back and forth, and so that's going to move quicker, but it is still in that aspect to Pluto. I will say that what comes up with Neptune, the biggest thing that I see is that this is about a power dynamic, right? Neptune deals with selflessness, a release of the ego, a return back to the spiritual mass consciousness, compassion, empathy, tuning in and feeling others' pain as if it was our own. And so what I will say in these personal relationships, if people are being very selfish, self-serving, narcissistic, trying to work things to a power angle that, you know, puts them in the winner's seat and thereby other people in the loser's seat, it's not going to turn out well for them, because this energy of Neptune is going to say, you know what, if you're coming from a purely egoic place, a purely selfish or self-centered place, that's not going to work out for you. The power that you exert in your personal relationships and into the world at large has to be one of using your power for good, using your power to empower yourself and other people in a positive way, not in a way that is underhanded or devious or negative, right? This is a very important part of that whole lesson, that whole energy. This is a powerful month, y'all. We also have, of course, as we open the month, Neptune in a trine. The only trine that we see at the beginning of this month is to the sign of Mars, is a planet Mars. And so yet again, it also brings up that energy very strongly as we come into, you know, this contact. It says, you know, you can't be selfish. You can't use your personal power or your personal energy and drive to do negative things to other people. That is huge, guys. Another thing that I'll point out with our squares. Squares are the most challenging aspects we have. They are the most friction rich, the place that we feel the most pressure or crisis, a sense of crisis, even if it's not an actual crisis. And of course, we have it going on from Uranus to Saturn. So I feel that many people will be feeling a pressure or friction between the tried and true methods, the more traditional and practical, and the more futuristic, the more chaotic. You know, neither one are wrong. And Saturn and Uranus both share a lot in common because they were both the historical rulers of Capricorn, right? I feel many times Uranus energy, Aquarius energy, it looks for the same outcomes that Capricorn does. It just has a very different way about getting them. It tends to want to shake up the status quo and break the structure up, whereas Capricorn basically likes the structure pretty well, and it only makes those changes as is absolutely necessary. But when those two come into a square, you certainly could see, you know, the older tried and true methods, you know, people that say, well, I've always done it this way, but then Uranus is challenging it and saying, well, why couldn't you try it this way? So be open to both modalities here. It's going to relieve a lot of the pressure, a lot of the friction and tension that you will be feeling. You know, Mars, of course, is in a square to Jupiter. So this does lead to a lot of itchy feelings. It can be restlessness. You may be really, really dying to travel, go somewhere, learn something new. Be patient, guys. Be patient, because Jupiter is on the move. It is moving into the sign of Pisces at the very end of December on the 28th. That returns it to one of its natural signs, puts it in a very positive place for action. So hang in there with it. If you absolutely need to go or do something, go ahead and do it. But I'm just saying, the energy will be certainly there. The restlessness may be very, very high as we open up this month. So guys, let's go through my list to give you a few of the big things you want to look for this month. So December 2021, on Wednesday the 1st, good news for all my Pisces folks. Neptune, your ruling planet, is moving direct after a 5-month retrograde. That is going to, you know, it was retrograde since June 25th this year. So all my Pisces, as we enter the month of December, are coming out of their little hibernation. You may feel a lot more active. And I feel that, you know, what happens when Neptune comes back into direct motion is that we start to get a little bit of our dreaminess back, a little bit of more of our imagination back, because when Neptune is retrograde, we're seeing things more as they are, not as we wish they were. But Neptune brings back the dreams. It brings back the imagination, saying, you know what? It's pretty nice, but I'd really like to add this to it, or I'd really like to bring this. This is an excellent movement, especially if you are spiritual or creative, because Neptune does rule things like poetry, music, the arts, right? It's very, very connected to those things. It is also compassion. So we may see people being a little more compassionate, a little more empathetic towards their fellow man, which could, of course, in turn lead to people doing more donations to charities, especially during the holidays. That kind of thing comes up very strongly. Friday, December 3rd, we have our new moon in Sagittarius. That will be happening very late in the evening or very early in the morning the next day, depending on where you are in the world. And that comes with our big solar eclipse, our first solar eclipse since our, last one earlier in the year. So we're back in our eclipse season. This is, of course, the balancing effect to the big lunar eclipse that we had 2 weeks previous in the sign of Taurus. So this will be a solar eclipse, 12 degrees of Sagittarius, connected with a new moon in Sagittarius. This is a very positive and very powerful aspect. Mercury, of course, will also be in the sign of Sagittarius that day. So I feel that this brings our life force very strongly back. Of course, our Sagittarians will feel this very powerfully, as well as our fire signs. Some of the people, the signs that will benefit the most from this new moon and solar eclipse in Sagittarius are going to be Aries, Leo. I would also put in Aquarius and Libra. They will feel the most direct energy of this. Depending on your sign, depending on your personal chart, is how you will feel this, where it will be placed in your chart. But this can bring a great sense of rebirth, because the solar eclipse, unlike the lunar is more the breath out, it's the release, it's the letting go. And so the solar to me is bringing in, the power of the sun, that glowing energy really encourages our personal energy, positive ego, not negative ego, positive, healthy self-pride, self-worth. Sagittarius, of course, encourages us to travel, to move, to think. Sometimes it can be a very pioneering sign. Sometimes it can be very solitary. So sometimes it's very important to take those solitary journeys of the heart, of your deep personal spiritual truth, because Sagittarius is about revealing the truth of the matter always, right? That is their big goal, is to always reveal the ultimate truth to themselves and others. That's why they can be very unvarnishedly honest. So that's going to be a powerful new moon solar eclipse. Then on Monday, December 13th, that's another big day. Mars and Mercury both changing signs. Mars will be moving into Sagittarius, a fire sign. Never a bad place for Mars to be in a fire sign. Again, this will encourage a restlessness, a very strong desire to move or to plan travel. It will be very hard to resist that urge and that call. Mercury on that same day, the 13th, will be moving into Capricorn. So even though the drive will be to go beyond and try new things, the mind will be very practical. Mercury is our planet of communication and the way that we think and express. And so when it's in Capricorn, we might be going, yes, I would love to travel, but oh, what about the cost? What about the expense? How am I going to pay for that? Right? Capricorn always brings that practical energy. They always put the practicality behind the dreams, which is not a bad thing. Mercury in Capricorn functions very well when it comes to making sure that things are efficient, grounded, and have a plan for the future. Saturday, December 18th, is our full moon. That's going to be in the sign of communicative Gemini. Gemini, of course, is ruled by Mercury. It is our communicator, our thinker, our doer. It asks the questions. It talks about things. And so that's going to be very powerful, of course, for our Geminis, but also for all of us in terms of communicating. We will feel those energies very close to the surface, as our full moons always bring a lot of emotion up to the surface. And when it's in Gemini, I think we won't be able to turn off the talking. We'll be expressing quite a lot. Sunday, December 19th, Venus goes retrograde in Capricorn. That's a big deal. We don't experience retrogrades of Venus very often. Those happen about every 2 years. So this will be until January 29th, 2022. So keep that in mind, that in all of our personal relationships, love may be a little challenged. We may be looking, doing that retrograde motion, which makes us go backwards, makes us rethink, rework, refocus. What in our relationships needs to be changed? What is it that needs to be kind of adjust. All the rewords apply with retrogrades. I will also point out many times Venus retrograde behaves a little bit more like Mars, so don't be surprised if people are not as courteous. They're a lot more direct, impatient, a little more pushy, a little more self-serving. That can be a frustrating thing, but it's important to be aware of it, because when you're on the road, people driving will cut you off in traffic a lot more. That kind of stuff can go on. So keep that in mind, that Venus retrograde can behave like Mars and bring up a lot more of that very direct, punchy energy. And having it be in the sign of Capricorn means that people are very focused on what truly works, what stands the test of time in their personal relationships, because Capricorn is all about the long term. They're not looking at short-term plans or goals. They are looking at what's going to last well into the future, and really forever if they have their say about it. Going into our wonderful Tuesday, December 21st is our winter solstice celebration, y'all. I will be, of course, doing a live stream for that. That is a Sunday, not a Sunday, sorry, that's a Tuesday. The sun is moving, it's not a Sunday. Tuesday the 21st, the sun is moving into Capricorn at 10:59 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which starts our winter solstice. On the following week, our Tuesday the 28th, we have Jupiter moving out of the sign of Aquarius fully into the sign of Pisces at 11:09 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be a big shift. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces and Sagittarius. Upon the discovery of Neptune, Neptune has been ascribed the full rulership of Pisces. But in the old days, Jupiter was considered the ruler of Pisces. So this actually returns Jupiter to a dignified place. It functions very well, and I do believe Jupiter and Pisces transits are very beautiful. They bring a lot of spirituality, a lot of compassion, and I think very exciting for me, because I am an artist and a musician. It brings a great new abundance of creative and imaginative energy. Sometimes it can tend to, have us wearing the rose-colored glasses a whole lot. Especially since this is happening on the 28th of December. This is right on the cusp of our New Year's Eve celebrations and our New Year celebrations. So it will not be surprising at all if people have a very rosy outlook on the future. They'll be dreaming big, they'll be imagining big, and so it's really about keeping those expectations in balance, because sometimes, it's like those dreams can't turn out as big as we dreamed them. Keep it in perspective and work to put a practical plan behind any dreams that you come up with, especially getting into the end of the year. January, as we open up, I'm just going to give you a little preview of that. January 2022, on the 1st, Mercury does move into Aquarius. Again, very altruistic thoughts, very futuristic thoughts coming in. And on January 2nd, the new moon in Capricorn. So our new year does start out with a lot of positive, progressive, forward-moving energies. So guys, very excited. I'm calling December 2021 a month of doors of opportunity, because that is what will be opening up for us very greatly. I'm very excited to see what it brings us, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.